Hi, my name is Dore Gunyu. I'm the CEO of the Shea House. The Shea House is a cosmetics company that is invested in producing natural, holistic cosmetics that make you confident in your own skin. This month of March, we decided to profile women leaders who are using their platforms to lift other women, in line with the theme for the International Women's Day, Accelerate Action. And to wrap up our series is none other than Dr. Birungi Korutaro, the Chief Executive Officer of Kilimo Trust, Uganda, who also happens to be a client of the Shea House. Dr. Birungi is an agribusiness specialist with extensive experience in market development, value chain analysis, and development, including formulating agriculture and tourism-related investments in East and South Africa. She's passionate about Africa's agricultural transformation through agribusiness and mentoring girls to become the best versions of themselves. So this is our interview with Dr. Birungi. So we're basically here at the cusp of you people celebrating 20 years in Uganda. And we're having an interview with one of the clients of the Shea House and also the CEO of Kilimo Trust, an organization that is invested in creating linkages, market linkages, business linkages, but also using your platforms to analyze information that is beneficial to both basically the whole structure, from the small, the micro, the small, the medium enterprises, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the work that we have been doing over the last 20 years has been to support farmers, traders, processors to access markets in East Africa. Mm-hmm. We see East Africa as one market, and we work under the East African Common Market Protocol. And we think that it is important that farmers should be able to get the best price wherever it is within East Africa. But most important of all, it's also the work that we do is to ensure that the value chains are structured, they're well developed. Our farmers have reliable markets, access to reliable markets wherever they may be in East Africa. We are also supporting farmers, traders, and processors to be climate resilient. How can they protect themselves from the shock of rapid changes in the environment? We can see intensive rain and then extreme heat. What should farmers do? What should processors do? How can they be more resilient to those shocks? And lastly, in everything that we do, we really want to see jobs created. And that's why I love this product, Shea, the Shea House product. I know that it's providing opportunities for women in the rural communities, that those women have households, is providing a livelihood for women and their households in the various areas where this product is produced. So the work that we do at the end of the day is centered on using agribusiness as a tool for transformation. And we do that in so many ways. Either whether it is training farmers, training the processors on agribusiness or farming as a business, processing as a business, and also how to reduce post-harvest handling losses, and also linkages to reliable markets, whether it's in East Africa or Africa or globally.
So when you talk about like what you basically described in terms of the processes, linkages, reducing post-harvest losses, linking both the processors and to the markets in terms of buying from the farmers where they can get the raw material, linking the farmers to market because they need someone to offtake their product. How does this actually happen? Because, I mean, of course, Uganda is largely an agricultural economy. It's agriculture drives our economy has been driving it for a long time now. And we also know that it's also one of those that is very volatile in terms of, like you mentioned, climate change, and has affected, and it's actually discouraged a lot of farmers. But now, like you as a business, you're seeing that there's still opportunity in agriculture. Practically, how do you actually help at the grassroots level in terms of the farmers, and also then at the middle meso level, like processors and manufacturers? How do you exactly help?
Okay, so what we do is we use a multifaceted approach. We begin by first understanding the market opportunity. So for instance, if we're looking at, for instance, cassava, we get to understand the cassava value chain and the cassava market. Who are the main buyers of cassava and what are they buying?
Yeah.
So whether it is cassava for household consumption, how is it being consumed? If it is for commercial purposes, how is it being consumed? And who are the buyers and what kind of volumes are they taking? So we kind of quantify the off-takers, identify the off-takers and identify the volumes that they are off-taking. Then I work with those that are willing to work with smallholder farmers. So most of the times we find that some of the large off-takers do not want to be bothered about smallholder farmers, but many of the medium-sized to small ones are happy to work with smallholder farmers because they're really looking to strengthen their supply chains. So what we do, we then create those backward linkages, link them to the smallholder farmers wherever they may be. And the farmers that we work with are usually those that are commercially oriented, so those that are in organized groups. And then when we are looking at the area, we always look at the largest production areas. And when you look at the science of it, areas that are the largest production areas are usually the areas that are most agroecologically suitable for that crop. So that crop thrives easily in that environment,
whether it is the weather, agroecological zones before.
Yes. Whether it is the weather, whether it is the soil, whether it is the amount of rain, all that is what contributes to agroecological suitability. So we then look at those areas. Those are the main farmers. Those are the farmers that we then link to the processor or the aggregator. And usually what we do is it is a commercial deal. So the off-taker usually negotiates directly with the farmers to agree on a price and volumes. Once the farmers then know and agree on what they need to invest in, sometimes they then come back to us and say, okay, this brewery wants cassava for commercial production, but the cassava they want is this variety. We don't have access to the seed or the cuttings. Can you support us? And then we support them by working with the research organizations to ensure that they get the cuttings on time, the right fertilizer or the acceptable fertilizer, and we also train them on quality, on how to reduce post-harvest handling losses, storage, all of that, so that the off-taker, in this case the brewery, gets the quality and the volumes they need at the time they want. So in that case, the farmer is happy, the off-taker is happy, and anyone along that value chain is also happy. And once that value chain is structured like that, it's sustainable. The minute that any one of them is making supernormal profits, it collapses. So that's why you see different inefficiencies in multiple value chains, is because there is a lot of information asymmetry, there are people taking advantage of the others, and as a result, those value chains are not sustainable.
So actually what I'm getting from you is, okay, so it's not like any person just walks in, you're basically dealing with structures. Where are the structures? Both, first you identify who are the buyers, who are the people who actually need this product. And then also at the farm level, at the household, grassroots level, you're looking at organized groups. Because it's very hard to deal with. Every person brings their one Benson or whatever, etc. But if they are organized together, so there's kind of like either collective bulking, quality control, and stuff like that. And then you're also looking at zoning in terms of the agricultural value chain, where, for example, where does cassava grow most? Where does maize grow most? And then you put your emphasis on those areas, and also looking at what is the market actually demanding.
Absolutely. So from what you've said, coordination. Somebody must coordinate the value chains. They can't just coordinate themselves.
I wanted to just pick your brains. I was reading the 2024 Entrepreneurship Uganda, the State of Entrepreneurship in Uganda report that was funded by MasterCard Foundation. And it had some very, very interesting statistics concerning the micro, the small, the medium enterprises. And of course, because this month we've been really profiling, it's been a month, we decided that, okay, this is a month of March, and it's because Women's Day falls in March. So we'll basically focus on things, interventions that directly target women, yeah, and what different platforms are doing, or women leaders actually doing to support other women. And one of the things that I actually found is that the statistics that they said that businesses, women-led businesses, scored the least on issues to do with technology adoption at 33% compared to the men at 38%. And then business linkages had the lowest score at 22%. And I wanted to just, because you're very, very strong in terms of business linkages, I wanted you to just speak to that and say, what's the problem here? And how do we move? How do we address this problem?
Okay, so the challenge is multi-pronged. One, you find women are disadvantaged because they don't own the productive assets. And so,
including the land.
Including the land. They are disadvantaged right from production. So because they don't own the land, they can't make decisions on that land. They don't own it, they can't make the decisions. And therefore, any decision that is made about that land is usually the man.
Yeah.
So they are disadvantaged there in the beginning. But then when you look at the value chains as well, women are largely involved in production. They will be in, because our farming farmlands are quarter an acre, half an acre. And so the women are largely involved there with their children. The minute the produce is aggregated, harvested and aggregated, it becomes a man's activity, traditionally.
The commercial partner.
The commercial decisions about who buys, who do they sell to, how much do we sell, is usually the decision of the man. So that's why you find women are not involved at all in those business decisions. And as a result, whether the men have to go to the town, the city center, or the other small town community collection center, it will be the man who will move the produce, because either he's riding the bicycle, or he has a car, or he can sit on a pickup, or he's riding a boda to move the produce from that small piece of land to a collection center.
Yeah.
So that's how the men get eliminated. But also women struggle with creating business linkages.
Yeah.
We find that women are deprived of one, like we say in Girls for Girls, they can't communicate well, they can't articulate themselves very well. They are shy. They also do not know how to negotiate. And the men are always negotiating. Women struggle with negotiation. So what we are doing actively in Kilimo Trust and through the other platforms like Girls for Girls, where I'm very actively involved, is equip women with these skills. There is knowledge, agribusiness knowledge, but also equipping them with basic skills like effective communication, negotiation, just giving them the notion that they also need to keep themselves informed. Because the men, remember, in the rural areas, in the morning, the woman will wake up, go to the garden.
Yeah.
Then she'll come back from the garden and cook food. Even if she went with her husband to the garden, when she's cooking food, when she has returned, the husband is somewhere meeting with other men. And he's gathering information. That she does is disadvantaged. So there are many ways in which women are disadvantaged socially, and we can overcome those barriers by being very intentional with supporting women to overcome those challenges.
What are some of the initiatives that you're doing directly as Kilimo Trust to connect the women to markets and then bring these issues of business linkages and also access to information?
So in Kilimo Trust, what we do is usually in the value chains, we identify where the women are and where the youth are and where the men are. So looking at the gender perspectives in those value chains. We sometimes do very targeted training to women and to support them. But we also have programs now, like for instance, we now have a fish program that is looking to target 80% women in the value chain. So we're
Are
looking
women involved in the fish?
the fish value chain is heavily involved, has women heavily involved in cleaning, in marketing, in selling the fish, the fishmongers that you see, in cooking the fish.
Yes.
Women are heavily involved in that value chain.
Because we usually just look at the fishermen who go out to get the fish.
Yes, but there are women who are also fisher women. Yes.
Okay.
But when the men come to on the landing site, the cleaning is done by the women. Washing, cleaning, and then transporting it is both genders.
Yeah.
So we are seeing a lot of women involved in the fish value chain, but other value chains are more biased to the women.
Yeah.
Once a value chain becomes commercially oriented, the men take over. Sometimes even in production, they dominate. Because they know that they'll get the money. They'll get the money.
Yeah. And that's the thing that now I think that any intervention cannot, for example, you cannot target women on their own and remove the men from it.
Absolutely.
Because it's very, very hard. I mean, you can empower the women, but if they go back home and the man's mindset has not been changed, then they're going to struggle.
Absolutely. So the way we do it is even for those value chains where we are saying we are targeting the women alone, whether it is training, whether it is capacity building of any other form, the men are also involved.
Yeah.
But we are now being very specific to say women groups work together.
Yes.
Because women don't usually work together in groups.
Yeah.
The male groups exist, but women, how can you also come together in your group and support each other? Just from a perspective of collective savings, getting information collectively, skilling themselves. All that can be done collectively. And there's always a reference point. You'll find very rarely will a woman go to a man to say, show me how this is done. But you will learn much better from another woman.
Yes.
So we take advantage of those existing
peer-to-peer learning.
Peer-to-peer learning to support women to grow. Yeah.
One of the things that I read that I know that you're very, very passionate about is networks. You've talked about networks a lot. And I think the thing is that I wanted you to just demystify how to grow your networks. Because, for example, if I'm looking at statistics in terms of the women businesses in Uganda, you find that on average, you're looking at a woman between the ages of 18 to 34. That's a highly reproductive age. So there are so many dynamics that women have to deal with. They have to deal with being mothers, because most of this this reproductive age also has very young children. So you're dealing with so many things. Maybe you're a businesswoman, or if you're a businesswoman, but you're also having to look at the issue of the home. You're a mother to young children. You have to take care of maybe your home. Maybe you have a husband, and then there is a business part. And then now you're putting in the added element of networking. Practically, how would someone be able to break the ceiling? Because sometimes it's very, very hard in a way that it makes it very easy for someone to just say, okay, to understand the concept of networking and how they can actually be able to implement it.
Very true. I like that question. And I think it happens to all of us. Even I had my children later in life.
Yeah.
And so I struggle in the roles that I'm in now, having to meet my motherly duties.
Yes.
At the same time, move around across East Africa. It's challenging. It's challenging for women at every level. It's not only just at the crucial stage of 18 to 34. And so sometimes it's also, there's all this notion in social media that you can have it all.
Have it all, yeah.
And I think you can't have it all. In my perspective, you can't have it all. But what women and what I've seen has worked for me is leverage within the people that you know. Most of the times as women, we think that you must be in an association. But there's a lot that you can learn from the women that you meet at church, from the women that you meet at work, from the women that you meet when you at school with your when you're picking up the school children from school, those are all networks.
Yes.
So when you go to pick up your children from school, do you ever sit down to ask the women that you meet, what do they do? How do they do it? Do you know anyone's story?
Yes.
And that's what I've learned, is that leverage on the space that you're in, network in that space, because once you already have one thing in common, it's easy to have many more in common. So rather than think, I need to be in Rotary, no, but you already have a church community you go to. You already have a village in which you live. You already have a group of girlfriends that you meet once in a while to have a laugh and drink. But you can also use that same network to network among each other. And the network is not just you as an individual, but from Ivan Misna, I learned that for every person there are 5 people connected to them.
Yes.
Try and get to know what they do, how they do it, and what is their story, this very group of people. And if there are 5, that means you have outreach to 25 other people within that network. So we can simplify networking and keep it to the level at which you are. If you're just starting up, focus on that. You're starting a home, focus on that. But if you can be in Rotary, and you can be in Girls for Girls, and you can be with the business network, go for it.
Yes.
It is always there's every advantage to being in those networks. If you can't, take it a step at a time. But at every one point and every stage in your life, ensure that you leverage on the relationships that you have. I've gotten leadership training, global networks, just from being in Girls for Girls. I have reached, I have global coaches right now, global I have peer coaching among CEOs globally, just from the network of Girls for Girls. So you can't underestimate just even one group. It can be very powerful. Leverage on the relationships that you already have existing. That's a good one. So I wanted to continue with that, because one of the things that you actually do is a mentorship of girls. I wanted you to just speak into that, about what you're doing, what exactly people are doing in terms of mentoring young girls. Okay, so what is a young girl anyway? A young girl. Yeah, so I mean, I think what a friend of mine, again, networks, Alena Simwe started the Girls for Girls initiative when she came from Harvard. Again, what did she do? She reached out to her network, just her close friends. And it was us, she called upon I and many others to join her for the first mentorship of girls at a school. Yes. And the headmistress of that school was also our schoolmate. So again, network among the people you know. And she said, Allen had an ambitious idea. How do we get women to take leadership roles? How can we get women to be in leadership? Because it's through leadership that we create transformation. And she said, we can start it at every level. Let us start it, in secondary schools or at the age 15, tender age. Let girls be more confident, get to understand what is required to be a leader at that level. And so that's how we came in. And we joined her in 2017, I think 2018, and have been with her since then. And it has grown right from girls who are 15, 16 to I have led a cohort of over 40. And we have found even women over 60 still want to mentor and learn from each other. So when you're looking at this mentorship program, it starts from what age? Is there a limit, a maximum in terms of the age? Not really. And a minimum? The minimum we have done is 15 years in schools. And typically we have gone maybe and said, let's talk to those in SFU. Because you want to talk to one group. We have found it effective there. But we've also found it effective in the workplaces. So Girls for Girls has workplace cohorts. Then we also have found sector cohorts like STEM, We have also found that...
That's for sciences.
Yes, for sciences. We've also found those that are sick, like for instance, women with HIV. We have also supported women like artisanal miners. So everywhere where we can get women in groups, we have found that the fundamental principles of Girls for Girls and the approach that is grounded on 6 key areas is applies to any woman even at 60. And once you have those fundamental principles, then you can be a leader. Also debunking this whole myth that to be a leader you must be the minister, the member
CEO,
of parliament, a CEO.
Yeah.
No, but leadership is not positional. You can be a leader irrespective of where you are. And leaders are not born. They learn, they get the skills, and they are created.
Yes.
And so you can be a leader even within the organization. All you need to do is have a voice,
Yes.
be able to articulate your cause, rally people around you, and create change. And you just need a few fundamental principles to do that. So once women start understanding that I don't need to be the LC1 chairman, but I can help to remove garbage in my community.
You don't have to be at the top.
You don't have to be at the top to be a leader.
Yes.
It is not positional. Then you see people, light bulb moments for many women who can say, okay, I can lead the women in my group to contribute to the beggars and the disadvantaged in my community. We can supply food. And suddenly there is change.
Yes.
Yeah, because even if the starfish are washed back onto the sea, onto the seashore, it doesn't harm for you to pick those that you can and put them back
in the water.
In the water. You will still create change. Yeah.
So basically what I'm getting is that everyone has a voice. And you have a platform within your own ecosystem, and you can use that to influence and impact the lives of others.
Absolutely, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be the CEO. You're telling the stories of women and getting stories of other women.
Yes.
And who knows who will be inspired by these stories.
Yeah.
But you're also inspiring others that through this journey of entrepreneurship, you've had to work with other women to help you move forward.
Yes.
And in Girls for Girls, we also say that you only rise by lifting others.
Yes.
So you're doing that in every way. Rising by raising the awareness of your products through interviewing us who use your products, but also giving women a voice in a space that they ordinarily wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just what it is. That's how we will create this movement of women with voices. And hopefully some of those will become more strong leaders that will change this world. Perhaps we may have less wars if we have more women presidents.
So you just look up. I mean, Google nowadays says your friend. You just look up Girls for Girls.
Girls for Girls.
It's interesting that before last year, we have been talking, this whole thing of, like, you have clients that you have never met. And actually, I had saved you as cocoa butter client. Birungi. Until last year. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's Dr. Birungi of CEO Kilimo Trust. Until you called me. And I was like, okay, this is because I think I shared with you about my journey into business. And you're like, Dora, we need to have a meeting. And then suddenly, I'm realizing it's the same cocoa butter Shea client that I called Birungi that I have on my phone, who is the CEO of Kilimo Trust. And I mean, that's the thing that sometimes we are very, very unaware of the networks that we have within our own ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and thank you so much, actually, even for making time to meet with us, like in a very, very short notice. I know that you're traveling actually this afternoon to travel, so I'm very, very honored that you actually could meet with us. But I wanted to. There's something that really resonated with me when you're talking about, because when you're talking about like this mentorship, like your face just lights up, and I was trying to do a bit of research into who you are, and I was reading the transcript from the 360 Mentor interview that you had with Robert Kabshenga, and you spoke about how you actually left a very well-paying job with Shell because you felt like you did not know your purpose then. And I know that sometimes when there is that, it kind of like leads to some kind of dissatisfaction. You're not very, very satisfied where you are. Was that where you felt? Was that where you are? Like you were dissatisfied? There was something, that uneasiness about you when you were still trying to find your purpose. Would I be right
Yes,
to make that assumption?
absolutely, absolutely. In Girls for Girls, we say understand your why.
Yes.
Yeah, understand your purpose. And almost all the renowned transformational leaders always say understand your reason for existence.
Yes.
And once you understand that, and for me in Shell, I just thought, why would I spend all my time just driving profits, doing the same thing repetitively? And yet my mind can do so much.
Yeah.
And so I explored, and it was a courageous move. I was
It's a
still
bold one.
young then, to find out what is it that makes me happy.
Yes.
And for that one whole year in 2004, everything I did, I was asking myself, does this make me happy? And so when I went to the MBA, I thought, oh, I'll make a lot of money. I should go and do derivatives, options. It was the thing, just like blockchain now. And when I sat in that class, I said, no, I can't sit down in this. This is boring. So I kept looking. And eventually, what was my best, and I scored the highest and got an award for that, was Emerging Enterprise Consult.
That's on in your MBA.
On the MBA. And what did I like most about it was that I met several businesses. We were working with several businesses, and every business has its own unique challenge. Every entrepreneur had their own story. They were passionate about what they were doing, and all we needed to do was just do a few things to support them, and they thrive. I thought, yeah, then I can just help businesses to thrive.
Yeah.
And so that has been what has driven me in everything.
Is that your purpose? Would you say that's your purpose?
Absolutely. How do we create transformation through business?
Yes.
How do we ensure that we have a social footprint, a social impact, and everyone benefits from it? So I did that, and I have done it in the tourism sector. I moved from tourism now in agriculture. And now a lot is happening between agriculture and oil and gas. There are similarities in very many ways. I'm a statistician, background, training, and now I know so much agriculture. No one would ever think that I didn't study agriculture. So
But you're still looking. You're able to look at the numbers. Still.
I look at the numbers,
Yes.
because at the end of the day, anyone getting into an agribusiness opportunity, the business case must be there.
Yeah.
So we still have to talk about numbers,
Yeah.
but I still can put the social side, the human side to it. For me, that's what really matters.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm doing my work, even at Kilimo Trust or wherever, even when it's for girls, the fact that somebody's life has changed, that's enough for me. I sleep happily. Yeah. And every
you're
day,
happy?
I'm happy, peaceful, at least knowing that I know why I came into existence.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that is very important.
Yeah.
Because even as a leader, if that doesn't permeate through you, then you don't inspire. Because for you to be a leader that creates change, you must rally people to follow you.
Yeah.
And people must trust and believe you. And people can't trust and believe you if you're not talking about something that is personal to you.
To you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is just the science around it. Yeah.
What has been your biggest life lesson in your journey?
Wow. I think for me, it has been be open to learning.
Be open to learning.
Yeah. Be open to learning. I'm constantly learning.
So you're a lifelong learner.
I'm a lifelong learner. I'm learning. I lead an organization that is we're very technical in very many ways in our approaches. You're dealing with agriculture. Agriculture has very many technical aspects. So in that regard, I am dealing with the national research organizations, the trade bureaus, the Bureau of Statistics, of Standards, even the Bureau of Statistics. This is agribusiness. So everything we do is using agribusiness as a tool for transforming lives.
Yeah.
And we work typically with people who do value addition like this. Because you're the one that creates that primary pool.
Yeah.
The farmers are incentivized to do what they do because they have a guaranteed buyer. And that is what really lacks in our markets.
Yeah.
Is farmers do not have a guaranteed buyer, because from you they know that the price at which they will supply, when they need to supply, and what quantities they need to supply. And that's what we in Kilimo Trust call structured markets. But for most farmers, they just hear, oh, there is cocoa. Cocoa now is the crop to produce.
But where is the market?
But what variety should they plant? When should they plant? How should they plant? Who will buy it from them? And at what price?
Yeah.
The information that is circulating is
there is cocoa.
There is cocoa. There are also prices.
Yes.
But whoever is putting that information there may be putting the information of the buyer they know. But if the price was well established for a crop like cocoa that is being marketed nationally, people should know the price at which people can buy it at. So how much is a kilo? What quality is at 10,000 shillings, which is at 2,000 shillings? That should be known. For you, you do that on a small scale.
Yes.
But imagine if that was done on a large scale, what that meant even for you.
Yeah.
Because your pricing, you can easily plan better. You can invest very well knowing what your return is going to be.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why investment in agriculture is also very haphazard, because the return on that investment is not guaranteed. So we find ourselves in such situations.
Yeah.
This one I bought it from Motif. I went there. Yeah. But then when I was leaving, I saw your stall. Okay, I went around. I went there because and I saw it, and I bought this one and the sesame one. Yeah. My guys just said, "Banange, this thing," and the combination of that two is the best. Yeah. So I use that when I do the scrub, when I go. To stain is also very good. Yeah. So I love my Shea.
This wraps up our series on women leaders who are using their platforms to lift up other women. I hope that you've been challenged and that you've also been inspired to do something, to know that you can use your own platform, you can use your own voice, you can use your own resources to lift another person. And women, let's lift other women. The series, the interviews are available on the Shea House YouTube channel.